So we got the story from Yahoo. It's actually a republish from MS No One Watching. Democrats shouldn't celebrate losing in Tennessee. Why, yes, just the other day, Afton Bain lost, and Matt Van Epps won in the special election in Tennessee by 9 points. And the Democrats are celebrating because in 2024, this was an R plus 22 district. And now people are saying, you see, this shows the weakness of the MAGA base and stronghold, which is being ripped asunder. They're wrong and they're stupid, but at least I'll give them this. MAGA is absolutely getting torn apart, ripped to shreds. And, that being said, Turning Point USA just came out and formally addressed Candace Owens, who then said that she'll debate them or whatever. And I'm like, you see, this is the problem, I guess. This is the coalition is crumbling. But that being said, Matt Braynard has an excellent post breaking this down where he says the media will make a big deal about how much closer the Tennessee 7 special was in the presidential as some kind of referendum. But this is fundamentally dumb. Don't fall for it. What he basically says is that in 2024, a longtime incumbent ran with zero primary, Mark Green, and outspent the Democrat $2.2 million to $1.2 million. He won by 21.5%. In the 2024 presidential election in the district, effectively zero money was spent by either presidential campaign, and Republicans were energized in a state they were always expected to win. In this special election, basically what he's saying is Democrats dumped tons of money into it, and Republicans barely paid attention. They expected to win. They didn't care that much, and Democrats had nothing else to focus on. So they focused heavily on spending money to try and rip down the slim Republican majority. But in the end, the Republicans still win. And the expectation is going into 2026, when you have an energized base, a then incumbent, and a lot more money, no one is going to spend money in this district. The point being, it is safe red. Even when Democrats invested, they still lost. Sure, it shifted leftward because they were trying. But come 2026, they are going to focus on swing districts, and this ain't one of them. This is safe red. So this is not a referendum on anything, but can't say I'm surprised Democrats are all celebrating. It's not just about claiming a victory. It's about telling their base they can win and trying to keep them energized for 2026. So my response to Matt is Democrats know full well it's a meaningless victory. What they want is a moral victory where they can claim, guys, we are gaining ground. Yeah. Let's get energized for 2026. And then the question is for everybody, who's going to win in 2026?
I mean, well, I still think that it depends on the economy, right? Like if the economy is doing well, then Republicans can win. And they're not a shoo-in because of just historically in the follow-up to a national campaign or a presidential campaign where the one party wins, the other party does better. Mm. If the economy's not doing good, the Republicans are going to get trounced. And I don't think that there's a whole lot of this isn't some kind of brilliant insight. This is a pretty obvious, situation.
So based on your analysis of it, do you think that then this worked for the Democrats in their favor, that their audience will believe that this should energize them going into 2026 because they can give this very, very simple narrative that they made inroads here, despite the fact that obviously what you're saying or what the guy who wrote that article was saying is saying that it's not that simple?
I would say that Democrats, like Candace Owens, rely on an ignorant audience base that won't actually look into evidence and will just blindly believe what they're told. So instead of actually looking at the data, looking at the spend, like Matt Braynard is pointing out, they just say, wow. And it works. It really, really does. You'll get a massive base. And your lowest common denominator is going to be 7th grade reading level and lower. So if your lexicon is a bit too verbose for these people, they're going to avoid your content as they can't understand what it is you're trying to convey.
Well, I'm the 7th grade reading level here, so that's right in line for that.
And don't forget, reading comprehension doesn't just mean the size of the words or their obscurity. It also means your ability to understand what it is you're actually reading.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's lowest common denominator frequently wins, so.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So at what point do you start worrying going into 2026 economically?
Well, I'm worried now because Republicans suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trump needs to stop saying things like affordability is a hoax.
Yeah.
that really does need to stop now.
And stop holding up the stock market as an indicator of
exactly.
well-being. It's not working for the base.
You have some really odd indicators that are like that are it's showing the morale of the United States is really poor right now. For one, I think it was a Business Insider had an article that said 33% of people between 25 and 34 expect to lose their job in the next year. Yeah. If you have a third of your young people just expecting to lose their job and they gave a variety of reasons, the main one was just that the job would be redundant. That's not good for morale. That's young people need to be able to invest in things and expect that they're going to get a return out of it.
I think that is because of a lot of AI hype.
A mixture of AI hype and immigration. I would say those are the two things. And also, I think they see that. Look, a lot of these companies just lay off people seemingly at random all the time, and typically replace them with H-1Bs.
This is 270 to win the 2026 House election. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like Tennessee's 7 is not. It's safe red. There's no expectation that anything else. No one's going to spend money in there. However, you take a look at a bunch of these other districts that are toss-ups. This is where Democrat money is going to go, and that's where we don't know exactly what will happen. And Democrats do have an opportunity to take the majority. Right now, Republicans are favored just in size, 209 likely victories to Democrats' 206, but there are 20 toss-ups, which means Democrats could absolutely win. Mm-hmm. And the problem is there's a handful of issues that matter. The first and most important is the cost of living. Republicans are viewed more favorably than Democrats, but Donald Trump is going on TV and saying grocery prices aren't up. They literally are up quite a bit, and it's terrifying. Yeah. And if Trump and the Republicans are going to play the game of, I'm going to plug my ears and say no over and over again, you're not convincing the working class dad who literally went to the grocery store yesterday and is spending $800 a week. When you say they're not up, grocery prices are down, he's going to be like, are you insane? Yep. And then, to be honest, so long as Democrats just keep shrieking about the color of their skin or who they want to bang, that poor working class guy is going to be like, I don't even know. I guess I'll vote for Republicans. But some Democrats in the congressional districts, they've already had this postmortem report where they said, you need to shift on this message. If swing Democrats go heavy into economics and Republicans aren't, Democrats win.
Well, weren't they saying that's why Mamdani did as well as he did, because he stayed on message as far as the economy? So if they can do that, if they can get out of their own way and actually focus on things that matter rather than race and gender, then it feels like it would be very easy for them to.
Yeah, it should be. Those can be tertiary issues. They can talk to, minority groups, identity groups and say, look, we actually care about your particular issues. But if they're not talking to the average person saying, look, we have a plan that is going to help you economically, then they're not going to be able to get people to vote for them.
Oh, yep.
And they don't.
No, they don't. They don't.
And not only that, the base wants a lot more. The base wants immigration enforcement. They're getting an arrest of corrupt Democrats, and it's not being delivered upon. The immigration stuff, for the most part, is actually, C+, B-, pretty good. But that's the base. That's the politicos. That's the esoteric. These aren't the people who are reading stories about, drunk raccoons on a bathroom floor. Those people are just like, oh, yeah, obviously the raccoon had to steal the booze. He couldn't afford it anymore. Yeah.
It's expensive.
Indeed.
The highest IQ among us saw the story a day earlier. And then we passed that along to our journalist friends and said, guys.
The raccoon story?
Yeah.
I did see it and I didn't care. and now it's reached, again, I will stress, it is actually pretty scary when 50,000 searches is the 4th biggest search for trending stories. It used to be millions every day. It used to be hundreds of thousands on small trends. It's a combination of no one uses Google anymore. They're shifting to all the different AIs for search, but that is derivative. It's not actually linking you to the source material. So it just looks to me like culture is completely bifurcating. And I will give you my projection with, we talked about it last night in the members only show with Nick Freitas, because he contested my assessment when I said, if Donald Trump were to suspend habeas corpus, we are on the same track as 1861. And he said, absolutely not, because 7 states had already seceded at that point. My rebuttal was that more than 7 states have already violated federal law by allowing illegal immigrants and utilizing that to seize federal power.
Yeah, it is worth noting that back in the, before the Civil War, there was still kind of the general idea that states could secede, right? Like when the Constitution was signed, they said, well, we're going to join this country. And it was kind of a given that if they felt like they wanted to leave, that they would be allowed to.
And my point was, where we are at right now with the election of Zohran Mamdani in New York, we already saw right when he got elected, something like 40,000 people and businesses had fled New York City. Already 500,000 left over the past several years from Manhattan specifically. New York has, I believe, around 11 congressional districts. And you had back in 2018 Crowley v. AOC. And Crowley was your neolib, typical, urban liberal fat incumbent. And AOC was the progressive upstart. When she won, she moderated quite a bit. She's still a lefty. She's still pretty far left, but she pulled back on certain issues that resulted in criticism from the far left. AOC is now the moderate for the district. Because the conservative-leaning individuals are all fleeing, now all that's left is left and far left, which means when left and far left compromise, you get further left than AOC. So what is it now? They're talking about primarying. Who is it? Hakeem Jeffries, maybe?
I think so.
Where is he? He's in New York, right?
He's in Brooklyn.
He's in Brooklyn. Yeah, there's talk of a socialist candidate primarying Hakeem Jeffries. And he's the leader of the Democratic Party in the House. So what's going to happen is, as more conservative-leaning people flee blue districts, those blue districts will become communist explicitly. They will send members of Congress to D.C. who are explicit communists. They will then vote for communism, and you are going to have this increasing polarization where in the federal Congress, if Democrats win, they are going to vote for outright communist law that's going to result in Nebraska being like, no way will we abide by that federal law. That's insane. That's what geographic hyperpolarization is doing. And the danger with Democrats winning in 2026 is not just that Trump gets impeached. It's that you're actually going to have probably around 20% of the Democrats that come in being overt socialists and pushing bills and laws that will burn this country to the ground. And to avoid the analogy innuendo, I will literally say they will enact policies that will extract value from the economy, that will drive up the national debt, disincentivize workers, incentivize mass immigration, which will displace low-skilled workers. Then they'll enact large minimum wage guarantees, which will destroy small businesses, and you will get a depression like that. And then everyone starts fighting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't imagine that Donald Trump is going to be, signing bills that the Democrats put on his desk. But I do think that in the next election, the next presidential election, if a Democrat wins and the Democrats still have control of the House and Senate, you're going to see serious bad policy that will get instituted. Like the Democrats still want to see Medicaid for all, and you're $30 trillion in debt in this country. And there is no way we can afford that. And if you implement that policy, it will destroy the value of the dollar.
And there's a lot of Hollywood donors right now that are pushing on more for Gavin Newsom, even more, despite the fact that he's made Hollywood pretty much untenable for them policy-wise. And he would be one of those candidates that would be able to put those types of policies into effect. And it would be hard for Republicans to push back if they lose the House and the Senate.
Yeah. And just the fact that they would have the control of the House means that, just like Tim was saying, impeachment stuff the entire time, there will be nothing that will get done. People will blame the Republicans because they're going to say, oh, well, Donald Trump didn't get anything done. He was in office for 4 years. And it only makes it more likely that the Democrat wins in 2030.
Well, and people are they have an issue with Republicans right now because they feel like they can't get their crap together, right?
Yeah.
They feel like everybody's fighting with one another and nobody's presenting a united front and everybody's off on these side quests when they're not focusing on the things that they should be.
Yeah, and the Democrats, they're really good. They're much better than the Republicans at building up political capital and then spending it in various places. The Republicans don't really understand this. The Democrats understand that, hey, you can just battery farm foreigners in your country until you have the voter base to then push across the finish line stuff like Medicare for all. Because all of this policy that they've been pushing over the last few decades, they had to wait till Obama to really start pushing. All the Obama agenda policy was being discussed in the 1980s, but they had to wait. They had to wait until they had the political capital built up to then cash in and start passing a lot of these different things. And so that's exactly what's happening again. They need to get back in control. It's not gonna be like day one where it's just gonna be like they're gonna be spraying and praying. But they can keep the border open. That allows them to rebuild the political capital they need to then spend on various nightmarish projects.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.